are back live from the Blizzard Arena. You guys enjoying the game so far today? Yes, awesome crowd, awesome matches so far, with Brazil nearly taking that one against Team Canada. A little bit later tonight, we'll see Brazil once again as they face off against Norway in arguably the closest matchup of the day. But coming up next, guys, as you can see on this schedule, we are going to have, for the first time, Team USA. Are you guys ready for that? It's going to be an amazing battle. Canada and USA, arguably the top two teams in this group, and only two teams move on to BlizzCon. But Austria is still in the running, and they're trying to pull off the upset right now. It's time to bring out our team, starting with Team Austria. Watt 7 on main tank was causing problems for Canada earlier, but this time around, he's going up against another main tank. It's time to bring out all 6 of the starters from Team America. America is set. Austria is ready. Blizzard Arena, make some noise one more time. It's time to keep this party going as we send it backstage to our casters.
Thank you very much. Yes, United States makes their debut here, of course, on the World Cup stage. In Austria, we've already seen a little bit of them earlier today. Not the performance they were hoping for, perhaps the performance they expected against Canada. This opponent is going to be no less ferocious.
It's a tough day for Austria. I mean, they play Canada this morning.
It was Groundhog Day, yeah.
And then now USA, you know, the two top teams you would think in this group stage. A very tough go at the start for Austria. I think they kind of said like they would rather get these 2 matches out of the way. You say that, you know, before the tournament, and then once this day actually comes and you lose that first one, you have to sit around for a while. It changes a bit.
Yeah, and it's also a little bit harder for them to like take the temperature and how they stack up against the whole field because they're playing two.
You have no clue.
Exactly, the 2 teams that are arguably going out first and second, at least from our initial projections. So I'm curious, honestly, for tomorrow and for Sunday to see where they fall, you know, amongst the rest of the field as well.
Yeah, like at least Brazil had a tough game against Canada, right? They can kind of, you know, gauge where they stand. Right. We can take a look at the Austrian roster again. Watt 7, the main tank, we highlighted him earlier. You know, it's tough playing main tank when you went up against Canada, right? There was so much Sombra in there.
Really nice way of putting it.
Doomfist, Wrecking Ball, a lot of different things that get thrown at the main tanks here.
I mean, let's have a look, of course, at our US roster. Very well known, very familiar to everyone here at home. Space and Muma obviously holding down the tank. Sinatraa, hydration on their DPS. I mean, what an incredible combo of, you know, young individuals all across this team. Really, what impresses me so much actually about, you know, the composition of this USA roster. They've got a lot of youth, a lot of leadership ability as well for these younger guys. I think the selection of guys you've got here are very, very, very good. You know, being sort of commanding voices on their teams respectively. And now they all come together. I
was going to say a lot of vocal players on this roster. You know, everybody, you know, not really like in terms of like one set shot caller. It's going to be like shot calling by committee. Ilios will be map number 1 here. But you have a lot of players who can kind of dictate the style of play. You know, speaking to Team USA, excited that, you know, they're able to, you know, Muma specifically, Rawkus as well. Like, oh, you know, we're able to play a little bit of a faster pace.
Yeah, with a lot of these players coming from the Shock specifically, who always ran that more aggressive style. Whereas the Outlaws, we saw them play a bit more of a conservative approach, you know, a bit more of just a slow methodical. So they're saying, yeah, it's fun to mix it up and play with these guys who just come from such a, you know, fast-paced team mentality.
Well, it's tough to play with Sinatraa if you're not going to play aggressive with him.
You got to go with him. Yeah.
He is such a talented player when you play around him, right? You can kind of, you know, channel his aggression and, you know, force some chaos on the other side of the field, so to speak. You can really get a lot of nice things done. Hydration could be a big difference maker on this map. It'll be well to kick things off. I know his FAR was fantastic during the Overwatch League. I imagine it has just gotten better.
And Moth talking to him as well, saying he kind of changes his communication style based on what the team needs. It's kind of like a chameleon in that regard. And, you know, his team complimented him for how well he fit into this USA roster. And I have to say, yeah, it's a frightening offering that the United States has put on show here. We're going to jump straight here on towards Well. It'll be no surprise to see Moth holding down the Lucio.
You know, Mr. Dragon's going to pick up the Sombra. So we didn't see Austria play a ton of Sombra in their first match against Canada. They played a lot of triple tank, triple support. So I liked when they got aggressive. You know, their dive was not clean, but at least you know, they were able to force some things against Canada. Excited to see them try and bring out a little bit more aggression here against Team USA.
Obviously, you'll note that there's mercy, obviously, on both sides of this map. That's definitely to cater for the Farah play, to really try and, you know, allow Hydration and Steven respectively to have a lot of impact and also be kept topped up for most of the time. But Austria just didn't seem to be having much of an impact in the first fight, and they give a lot of ground up.
It'll be hard to take back. You know, when you kind of play the Farah into the Farah, the defensive Farah is able to just kind of pummel down some damage on the players coming into the point. That'll be a boop into the hole for 1-7. He will fall. Yeah, Muma drop as well, but you're going to lose the Diva out of the mech here for Austria, so if no tanks available.
Hydration now has got all the freedom in the world to do something like this, to let the barrage go. He saw that Steven was sort of forced out of sight lines. He couldn't do anything about him. And the Farah from Austria is the only real hero that can interact with Hydration at all. So as long as he sort of keeps an eye on that, he'll be fine. Austria aren't bringing in any hit scan to try and counter Hydration. And it's a big ask to expect the Steven Eclipse combo to be able to outwork the Hydration Rawkus combo here.
I mean, they're going to have to bring something, though. I mean, Hydration now is sitting at about 45% of overall team damage for Team USA. Steven's sitting about 28% for Austria. But I think that's just more of, you know, Team USA getting the point first, holding on to it. It'll be a hold up there.
1-7 was too slow on jumping out, or maybe he didn't have it off cooldown, Matt. He actually ended up getting Minimi essentially killed by being the one that was stuck and not being able to get away from his teammate in time.
It's a real nice chase down there. They get the Diva, demec'd, and then they back on up.
Sonic just drops off the edge, yeah.
I mean, it'll be interesting. How close is he to self-destruct? I mean, he could have went back to the swamp. He's already there. Let's see. Okay, so he's about 90% towards that self-destruct. So I guess you don't want to give up that 10% towards your ultimate.
We've just seen those Divas and their self-destructs be so huge today. Sinatraa is going to be doing this all day long, and if Austria don't come up with an answer to him, they're going to end up collapsing. There's really not much that they can do if they don't answer the threat to their backline. And Sinatraa's got so much room to work, but this seems a better start to the fight for Austria so far. Space being removed from the equation is a good opening. 1-7's Primal Rage sends Rawkus flying. Steven eventually does go down. That's the price he pays to let the barrage go. That's a 1-for-1 trade in that instance. 4 players for Austria set up on the point here, and they will capture it at 99% for US.
Yeah, Team USA, though, in a great spot to flip this back. You have a ton of ultimates. You use both support ults. You have your Rocket Barrage, your Pulse Bomb here, and your Primal Rage. You know, you just have Sound Barrier available here. You don't have to even worry about the EMP from Austria because you just saw it come out.
Just how important is the Sombra for Austria here, Matt? It seems like quite often Sinatraa and Hydration won't be home. Sound Barrier going to be cancelled out there. Sinatraa denying that one. We'll get back to the question in a second. So I think this is pretty much done and dusted here. Hydration to finish off Sinatraa. Sinatraa snuck in at just the right time, Matt. And again, that Sombra pick, what does it do here when, you know, a Farah and a Tracer aren't necessarily going to be playing together with the rest of the US roster?
And also, we talked a little bit about it earlier when we casted Canada versus Austria, is that your Sombra's not really putting down a ton of damage. So usually when you play Farah, you like to play like Tracer, even like Genji, somebody who can get in and finish off those kills. Sombra's not exactly that hero. You probably would have been better off even going with a Tracer there, as you can see. Self-destruct there from space up in the sky. Connects with the Farah in the Mercy. Just a little bit earlier in the round.
Always punishing to a Farah Mercy combo if they're not ready to dump altitude or get out of line of sight.
As we go into the next point, Lighthouse.
Do you like this? Do you like the potential switch off of the Sombra here? Do you feel like it's maybe not as effective? Maybe,
yeah,
I mean, we see the US actually play more of a tanky ground-based comp, though.
I do feel like this could, but we're going to see Team USA run here. This could potentially be their strongest comp that they have, you know, through Overwatch World Cup. Muma, fantastic Reinhardt. We know what Space can do on Diva, and then you throw Sinatraa Zarya in the mix. It's a really scary combo. Then Rawkus, you get him on the Ana. It's a little variation. You know, usually you see Moira in this, but a lot of teams now, putting the Ana.
I think the biotic grenade value is pretty hard to deny, and of course the buff to Nano Boost, giving that health instantly is great. So the USA can't be together until they found a pick. They were waiting for Mr. Dragonlord to try and get in the backline. Hydration just went for the stun and finished him off. The one-man advantage from the US, that's patience paying off. They had time to sit around because the point wasn't unlocked yet. Waited for Austria to make a mistake, and then they pounce.
And now Mr. Dragon will go over to Junkrat. So usually we see like Doomfist Farah, you know, or you can just play triple tank, triple support back. Playing the Junkrat here is interesting because you're just going to give a lot of free healing to Moth and Rawkus. And you're going to give a ton of ult charge over to Sinatraa and, you know, obviously some more energy towards its own damage. So let's see how they play around this Junkrat here.
This feels like, I understand, like there's a lot of good sustained damage if you're hitting your shots or your grenades or your rockets, as it were, but USA is a very healthy amount of healing. Oh, Rawkus, he's done. He tried to give his team a bit of a bio nade before he went. Oh, she's going to get knocked off. That man advantage may just pay dividends for Austria now. US down on 2 supports. Bubble placed directly over Steven to protect him there. Great teamwork, but it may not be enough. Sinatraa, Graviton Surge, catches Sensotics. Space is able to harass Steven away from the point and prevent him from really doing anything.
And I just took a peek down at the stats because Sinatraa now is sitting at an average energy of 70%. That is way too high here.
And it's easy to eat this damage if you want to.
Yeah.
You know, walk into grenades, just step out in the open and let Steven hit you.
It's almost beneficial for Team USA to play on the point, right? Because they have to just kind of come on in, and the Junkrat has to just spam the chokes, and it's an easy bubbles that Sinatraa can lay down, put down some damage. And I get it because it makes sense, right? Loads of tanks, Junkrat's great against tanks, but the spam and with
you
so
need time
much
to finish
healing.
these kills. You've got 2 DPSs that aren't designed to finish kills, but to sort of set up like a Tracer or a ground-born hero to get that final pick damage in. So now they're just feeding those shields a little bit. Muma getting bashed around a lot. He's going to have to get used to this over the course of this weekend. He gets the sound barrier though. He was looking pretty beleaguered earlier on, but now his team's come to his rescue, and the USA is just going to set up here on the point. Hydration finds Mini a crucial pickup at this particular juncture. He was so close to a sound barrier, and now Austria are going to have to get it done without it. Again, Steven comes in. Barrage, all well and good. He's getting up close, but he's not finding kills.
Yeah, this one looks like it will go in favor of Team USA. See the point?
Go Shadow. Yeah. Yep. As you like, Mini had no chance to keep that one going. And I definitely feel like it was an understanding that perhaps Austria lacked about how to deal with this heavy tank composition, and they really just fed into towards those ultimates, the healing, and the shields of Sinatraa.
I think you see there why teams go over towards Doomfist and compositions like that, because you would think, no, Junkrat, great, but it's just too much damage that you can't finish any kills off unless you get lucky and pass something, right?
Or Riptide or something like that.
And then Reaper is just too slow to get to the point, to get into the action.
Well, you put him in extreme danger where, like, Reaper needs to be up close to do anything, and that's where he's at the most danger against this particular composition. So it's a big ask to try and get that done, but I feel like burst something down. Where's your pick potential when you have a sustained damage, long-range barrage composition?
That's why you need the Doomfist in that type of composition, because the Doomfist, you know, with just those 2 chokes there on Lighthouse, Rocket punches his way through. You know, he gains himself armor. You know, probably at least kills one or gets somebody low, and then that just poke damage from the far it just comes through the back of the window and helps finish those players off. And then the Doomfist gets rolling. You get the tanks in there, and that's how you're able to break that.
We've seen Canada make a lot of use of the Doomfist Sombra composition as well. You know, you have Doomfist, he's in there to obviously get those insta picks. Sombra are going to harass from the back line. You constantly keep the enemy team's attention split between front and back line. Very difficult for them to make informed decisions or the correct ones. They're getting scouted out 100% of the time by a Sombra. But it seems as if Austria just didn't feel like going for that comp, and you have to wonder, is it a comfort thing? Is it maybe their understanding of how to play against this kind of setup? But they're from Europe. They play tanks there. They're proud of that stuff. That's their bread and butter.
It's also maybe they just don't have somebody who feels great about playing Doomfist as a hero.
Reasonable. I don't.
Doomfist is a pretty difficult hero to play in that if you don't manage your cooldowns right, you're going to just go in and feed constantly.
And your survivability is contingent on you connecting those abilities, which always put you in harm's way. So yeah, it's called, you know, riding the lightning as a Doomfist player. You've got no other choice. Heading over towards King's Row, man, I think reasonably we expect to see a little bit more of those durable tank-heavy compositions out of the USA. Austria may again be called to try and come up with an answer to these that doesn't include Junkrat and Farah feeding Isaiah shield charge.
But is slowing the game down against the team that is made up of all Overwatch League players who've been playing together all year, watched so much game footage, know so much about the little scenarios and decision makings, is slowing the game down and letting them figure out exactly what they want to do, the right approach?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
But again, can you, like, I ask you this as you're someone who was an ex-pro player, can you afford to think about that as Austria right now? Can you afford to say, like, you know, meta game yourself and to sort of say, oh, we can't give them too much time to figure out what we're doing? Or do you just need to sort of stick to what you can do?
I mean, Austria's, nobody expects them to win this match, right? I mean, you can go out there and just go, right? I mean, you can just play for it.
Well, we saw that on Rialto from Austria. Like,
Yeah,
they definitely tried
and they looked pretty good, right?
until they got 5-man moves.
Until that happened.
There's two sides to every coin, Matthew.
They used to, growing up playing a lot of basketball, it's like, if you were the less skilled team, they were like, just make it ugly. Just make it as ugly as possible, right?
And Austria's comp is about as close to that as we're going to get. It is the classic, the GOAT's comp now. They do just bustle and hustle their way on towards the point here. Immediately, though, Mini-Me is picked off. The weakest link, perhaps the least durable hero on the team, is already down. And the USA, they've been down this road before.
And you have Sinatraa playing Moira here, that you're going to actually play the Zen for Rawkus. So Zen is a hero we see drop down in playtime. Zen and Mercy. But I think it's just because Zen, if you're going to play against like Sombra and Doomfist, is such like an easy target, right? Not really mobile, low health pool. He's like the perfect target.
Yeah, that was filthy. I mean, he can stay safe, though. Zen can stay pretty safe when Austria are playing a composition outside of Diva that doesn't really let them access that high ground. Look at Moth and Rawkus just hanging out, playing patty cake up at this high ground. And Austria can't afford to pay them any heed right now, especially with Muma and Primal Rage in their face. Austria just getting shredded.
And every time they push in, Moth is landing like a 5-player biotic grenade and just denying all the healing.
And what can Austria do about it except try and defense matrix it?
Yeah, I mean, you have to probably try and commit Mr. Dragon and just push the supports up on the high ground. At least make them a little bit scared. Right now, Rawkus is able to stand up there as a turret on Zenyatta and then Moth as well.
Free damage for days in the USA support line, completely unscathed. So Moth obviously with any hits. Moth has a final blow. Hydration drops in, it is the EMP. And that's a very quick end to the fight. This will be a big stagger as well. Mini-Me realizes that and he charges forward saying, please just end this now so I can get back to spawn. And the USA will push up. They realize now that Austria are looking a little bit unsure, a little bit nervous. Now they're really going to try and mess with them. Get in their face, not even let them out.
I would say Muma is definitely pushed up. He is in their spawn.
He's as close to their spawn as you can possibly get as a defending player.
They get a pick on a hydration though, and that'll be a Earth Shatter that comes down from 1-7. Okay. Now they can maybe make something out of it.
Credit to Austria. They recognize when they have that man advantage and have a chance to push in, and they do. With all 6 of them. Space and Moth are kind of caught out. Moth is on the low ground here. He's in a dangerous spot, but Austria don't really have the legs to get there at this stage. Rawkus playing pretty dangerous there as well, but Muma now is trying to sow some seeds of discord, and he's found a pick here. Mini-Me's down, and there's time for the USA to come back in, but is that enough? Muma retreats back to the point now, jumps back over the Transcendence to try and benefit from it, and the USA, at the very least, are stalling this one out admirably.
You have Sinatraa switch off of the Moira, comes back as Doomfist, and is able to get one, then get the D-Mech, and you cannot let the Doomfist just go unchecked.
They're not even looking at him, and also Sinatraa can just walk away. Steven doesn't quite get squished up against the wall, but he realizes now I might have bitten off a bit more than he can chew. You follow Doomfist into a small room. 1-7, trying to go for the Earth Shatter, but got stunned out of it, hit into the wall. Sinatraa shuts that one down very quickly. And Austria was so close to taking point A. There was a slip-up from the USA, but they made up for it.
And now USA has a ton of good ultimates to use in the next fight. They got the Meteor Strike, EMP, and they have a Transcendence. So you can take a look here from Sinatra's POV. He's very low. Steven does fall, and all right, as he's about to go land that Earth Shatter. Nope, not gonna have it.
You can put that one back in your pocket and save it for the putting range. Hydration, another EMP again. Forcing Austria back, complete disarray from them now. Meteor Strike being used by Sinatraa, but might be his undoing. He gets stunned immediately. That is the risk of, doing that into a backline that features Brigitte. So there's still a chance here for Austria, and they've got ultimates themselves to use. Sound barrier from Austria, Transcendence from the USA. See, knocked to the ground, was 1-7 for a moment, but they're so durable right now with that extra overshield that they can just push on. Muma's down. He's definitely had trouble staying alive against this comp, and it will be Austria to push on to the point here. USA have to drop down and commit one way or another, but it's unlikely they'll be able to hold. Mini-Me's down to the seismic uppercut here. That's probably all that really is going to get done here for the US. They've extended a little bit too far this time.
And it will be Austria unlocking the payload here. It's not pretty. Took a very long time
there. Make it ugly, Matt. Make it ugly.
But yeah, exactly. Make the game ugly. They were able to take out Muma. Muma went a little bit too deep. I think he probably thought that he had Moth up on the high ground and be able to give him that support, but I believe Moth and Rawkus were rotating around towards the other side. So just that brief moment, denied all that healing. Hydration plants some range. Yeah, just spamming the voice. It's right behind them.
They're ignoring him, I guess, and we've talked about that a bit. Can you afford to try and pressure this this Sombra. I mean, the translocator now lasts indefinitely after it's placed out, so he can always get out of trouble unless he's somehow stunned while invisible. Hydration took a fair bit of damage in that exchange, but it was Mini-Me again to fall down first. Losing your Lucio early in these fights is really not your want when you're playing this heavy tank composition that depends on his area of effect healing. Meteor Strike, you better believe it. And Sonics is smushed, and What 7 has to take a couple big steps back.
They did end up using a Primal Rage here, just trying to displace some players, but the original pick was Hydration getting a hack onto Mini-Me, then Sinatraa comes from the other side. It's an easy rocket punch. Doomfist v Lucio in that close quarter area. And playing up on this high ground, where's a great angle for them to use this Graviton Surge? They don't really, unless they come up the stairs.
No, in the US they're going to be cognizant of this, right? They're going to be like, why would we group up when we know that this is what they have to use? Hydration has another EMP. Oh, no. Yeah, this is going to be ugly. Big EMP down the entirety of them, and also a Bionic Grenade connects on them at the same time, so that's just double trouble for Austria. What 7 able to find Muma. Poor Muma. He seems to be the one that's getting all the backlash here in terms of damage, and he's the only one that's been falling.
I mean, look, Team USA, the composition they have is really good against the triple tank, triple support. If they wanted to run like a Pharah, let's say, you do have the Discord Orb from Rawkus still. You have Moth is able to, put some pressure on a Pharah. Same with Space playing Diva. It's a very versatile comp they're choosing to run here on King's Row.
Now, once again, Austria nose to the grindstone, back to the streets phase, but Muma's going to drop in once again. Does get stunned up initially, but he had himself the nano boost, so can do a lot of work with that. I think it was an attempted Earth Shadow there from What 7, but it doesn't seem to have yielded too many results. Dragging along back in the mech and back out. Have a whiplash with how quickly he's being pushed in and out. With 9 seconds left, Austria running out of options except the grab.
And notice they still have not used this Graviton Surge because Team USA has been so spread out.
Oh my gosh.
Mini-Me here trying to make the impossible happen.
Yeah, at least to try and stall that. It does get a barrier provided by Sensonics. It's the Graviton Surge. Rawkus and Space are both caught in there, but the Transcendence is immediately brought to bear. And the USA are, well, unperturbed as they continue to press forward now. Muma drops in the middle, gets his Primal Rage. He looked like he was low, but now another EMP, and everything the USA needs comes up at just the right time. Mini-Me once again, all alone, separated from the rest of his team, just being broken down to size. Sensonics not looking great. Mr. Dragonlord got copped with a bio grenade, so it's going to be tough for him to stay up despite the coalescence being used by Eclipse. And all that Moira healing is not going to be enough now. Fading forward towards the payload, and we'll be shaking off very quickly. We talked to the USA, man, before this event. Aero said to us unequivocally, he said, we're not here to pick Symmetra and Nano Boost her. We're not here to pick Torbjorn and mess around. We are here to demolish every team we go up against.
So it's the right mindset, though. You can't take anybody lightly. I think every game you have the opportunity to make a statement. As one of the best teams in the world, you have to do it. And I think Team USA thus far has definitely done a great job. I mean, hydration, 33 limbs, 8 final blows, so that's usually what you see, like a high kill contribution to Sombra, not a lot of final blows, only 1 death. We saw this a lot in the last series when Austria went up against Canada, sure, for a lot of the games, 0 death, 1 death. Like, need to do a better job tracking this Sombra.
And actually, the damage leader on the side of the USA, despite the presence of a Doomfist, was actually Muma. And I think that speaks a lot to just how clumped together Austria were at all times. Muma obviously is just cleaving damage across, 4, 5, even 6 targets in some cases. And, that's super easy for Hydration to drop in and hit an EMP, because the theory, the whole premise behind playing a GOATS composition or a triple tank, triple support comp is that you need to stay together to benefit from Moira's short range but very high capacity healing. Lucio's obviously now increased range but sort of, AoE healing. And there are so many ways in Overwatch, so many hero mechanics that can really punish a team for sticking close together, a la Biotic Grenade, EMP, as I mentioned. There's so many things that really make it hard for Austria. That's why USA are playing around their comp.
Doomfist landing a seismic slam on a group of players, right? That you can think Muma building up, Primal Rages, and then every time when we got to the street space, pushing people into the cafe, Primal Raging everybody, knocking people back.
Getting extra damage with, using the Winston jump and the Primal Rage swings. It's super nasty. So Austria, I mean, this is a huge job ahead of them now. They need to try and hold on to this particular point. And USA going for the Genji and the Sombra pick here. So definitely going to be looking for isolating things like Mr. Dragonlord, getting onto a Steven. There's a lot of very fragile bodies on the Austria lineup this time around.
Now, we didn't get to see Sinatraa play Genji during the Overwatch League. Can definitely play the hero. on the San Francisco shot, again, we saw Dante, Baby Bay, Architect pick up that role, but he's definitely a capable Genji.
They didn't run it a whole lot. The pick in general, obviously Widow and Tracer was such a strong duo for so much of the league that Genji really had a bit of showing early on in the league and then sort of fell off. But great opportunities to make use of it now, especially with Ana being back in vogue. And Nano Blades today haven't looked great, but it's definitely an option.
That was weird because Austria had their diva up on the high ground. Sonics must have not eaten the biotic grenade because 4 people got hit with it up on that high ground, and this is where Genji can cause a lot of problems. Yep.
You cannot survive that. Sinatraa, he actually, good patience for him. He threw a couple shurikens, got 2 headshots on Mr. Dragonlord before him, and opted not to go for the dive in. Good patience from a young player who's definitely considered to be more aggressive. For the USA, comfortable taking that first point. Very much look like another day at the office for them.
And look, Mitch, they're in a perfect position to win this game. Sinatraa with a Nano Blade with an EMP on the other side of that. If they're able to land this combo, you have nothing to help break this up if you're Austria.
There it is, and Mr. Dragonlord trying to switch to the Brigitte to stop Sinatraa and maybe even Hydration or Muma from getting in, but it's not enough. He's taken down immediately. Hydration making his lap. Just so difficult. Sinatraa comes in with the Nano Blade. There he is, doused with the Bio Nade, but it doesn't stop him. 3 kills for him. Self-destruct up, he'll have to leave Sensonics there, who actually finds Hydration with that pick, but still the payload rolls on. Moth just sitting there, shepherding it forward, and Austria dash to the 4 wins.
Yeah, and there's really nothing they can do to defend that there. Once their Brigitte goes down, they have nothing to stop Sinatraa from getting into the back line.
Well, you saw it. As soon as Brigitte went down, he goes, okay, I'm going to Nano Blade here. Oh, you're going to use a biotic grenade? That's fine. I mean,
he just goes right through it. Yeah, I mean, you left both supports back there alone as well. They can't do anything to defend themselves. Once the Genji comes back there with the Nano Blade, pretty smooth sailing on the first 2 maps for Team USA.
I can tell we obviously did see the USA come forward with a very tank-heavy showing, but only very briefly on Ilios, right? We can see them showing off Doomfist. The Sombra seems definitely to be a staple for them, which, based on what we've heard and from what we've seen from scrims, is probably no huge surprise. We have an opportunity now, Matt, to hear from some of the players. Let's go down to the floor with Puckett and Muma.
Thank you so much, fellas. That's right, I'm here with the main tank of Team USA, Muma. Make some noise, ladies and gentlemen. Muma, it's your first year representing USA, and it's already group stages. How do you feel with the team so far? This is a very quick first half.
Oh yeah, we're playing pretty well. We're just playing what we've practiced, so.
Well, unlike a few of the teams that we've seen here in the tournament so far, you are a team that is fully comprised of Overwatch League players, at least with this current starting lineup. Do you feel that having a little bit more of a presence on the stage in the past is helping you out currently, or why are you guys in such a dominant form right now?
I mean, it's definitely a lot easier because we're kind of used to playing on stage, so the nerves aren't really as bad. And then also having players like Zachary on the bench, we also have like that understanding of what's going on in contenders as well, so he's got that experience as well, and it comes together pretty well.
Well, I noticed you guys don't need goats every single game. You're switching up the comps and talking with your coach, Aero. He said that you guys have a lot of tricks up your sleeves throughout this weekend. Is there anything that you personally want to do or pull off as a tank this week?
I'm just going to play Winston. I'm having fun. We got a lot of cheesy comps coming up, and it should just be fun.
All right, well, we have the second half coming up after this, guys. Give it up one more time. It's Muma as USA tries to match Canada with a perfect map record. We'll be right back. The Overwatch World Cup is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's fastest network ever. And by Omen by HP, the official PC of the Overwatch World Cup.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Blizzard Arena here in Los Angeles, of course, for our LA group stage. I'm excited for the World Cup. The hype's already been building. We've already got to see some of our teams showcase what they've got. In this particular case, in this match, if you can't see, it's United States, Austria. The US look just really cutthroat. Like, they're not playing around. They're standing in the enemy team spawn. It is something that Sinatraa and his previous team did sort of bring into vogue, spawn camping. But they're not trolling or anything. They look super serious. And Muma also looks like he's saying, like, yeah, it's going to be great. But he's like, I'm also dying a heck of a lot. You know what,
the spawn killing in a way, it's almost like winning map 3 before it begins, because like you're just in their spawn, you're in their face, and to play against that, it's kind of demoralizing, right? You're just like, we can't get out of the spawn. Like, doesn't give you too high hopes moving forward, right? It just kind of sets the tone of like, this is how the game's going to be played, and you guys are going to like it.
Something tells me like Aero is in the coaching room. Is like, don't mess around. I like to see it too. This dominance as well. It makes sure there's no illusions as to just how powerful this United States roster is. And I mean, there are a lot of expectations. People aren't sitting here like, oh man, I really hope the US, beats Austria or whatever. They're like, I hope the US can beat South Korea at the finals. So the expectations are so high. This is just the first of many steps.
But to get there, they have to, win this group stage, at least get first or second.
After a season of Overwatch League, I'm just not surprised by this stuff anymore. Like, that's probably Brandon as well, old mate with the seagull head. Yeah,
he's got to use the seagull.
You got a seagull head and an eagle head as well.
Yeah.
Big shout outs to everyone getting involved. Actually, I've seen some great costumes as well. Last year was the same. I actually couldn't be at the Santa Monica group stage, but like the US themed outfits were just incredible. I love that. Love to see that. And hopefully they'll have a reason to continue wearing it at BlizzCon. So far, it's looking pretty good for the United States here.
They have to make it though. I mean, Brazil looked pretty strong. We've heard good things about Norway. I know they take care of Switzerland earlier, so I don't know if this is going to be as much of like a cakewalk as we originally thought.
Well, I think that's probably why they're out of the gates so strong. But we talked to the US and they said, yeah, like we have a lot of respect for Norway, And for Brazil, it's like they said, yeah, Brazil look incredibly dominant in the home region, but it's super hard to get a feeling for how they're going to sort of compete outside of it, which I think is like a theme that we've been sort of bringing up a lot, as well. We get a lot of buzzwords for things as well. You guys will hear over these games. We talk about the Ghost Comp a lot, Matt. We probably want to qualify that as we head into Volskaya.
It's also, like you mentioned, it's hard with Brazil, right? We talk about them being the strongest team by far in their region. It's like, well, how does that translate over when you play against like European teams and when you play against some of the best from North America? It's hard to kind of figure out where everybody stands in terms of overall skill level.
Like I catch up with players from my home scene in Australia, if you couldn't tell the accent, and they say it's the same thing. It's like we have good competition amongst each other, but when we want to take it to the next level, it's very hard to do. We have to literally relocate ourselves in order to, take on this bigger competition because of infrastructural limitations. So, and for Austria, it's much the same thing as well. It's like, how much experience are these guys as a team able to get against, contenders teams and tier 2 teams? Being in Europe is definitely easier for that, but still, definitely challenging. You've got to prove yourself as a team worth practicing against.
Yeah, I mean, I've always found the hardest things from teams from other regions, to adjust to playing against, well, primarily for me, like teams that were from North America, is that like the meta would develop and then they would be a little bit behind the meta because we have so many players playing in North America, right? And you're constantly trying different things out. There's more means to practice different types of things against high quality opponents. That it seems like the players in the more populated regions seem to adapt a little bit faster, know how to counter things right away. Where in some of the regions where you don't see a ton, that is going to be a backwards Orisa shield in front of Torbjorn.
Well, it's just as effective.
And then the Winston. Okay, that's my favorite voice line in the game, by the way.
It is great.
Sinatraa.
Oh, there's a couple of really good D.Va ones, actually. And even the Hammond ones are great. So it's backward shield. It doesn't really matter, by the way, because convex, concave, it still blocks damage from either side. So, okay, so we were talking about them not taking it easy. This seems to be not that. But that's fine. They do have Rawkus on the Ana here, so it may be that they're proceeding with the sort of solo support setup, and they're hoping to get a lot of value out of that Torbjorn.
I mean, we have seen teams in the past play one of your supports on Torbjorn. Usually like Nimbani first point. We've seen it. We usually don't see it with an Orisa, Winston, D.Va, Doomfist combination.
I was waiting for you to sort of give me some analysis on it, but I guess it's kind of hard, right? They just get Sinatraa on the ground, give it on the ground a pound, and then they just sit up top and protect the turret. Mr. Dragonall just drops off. I think he wants to switch off this pick.
Well, Rawkus is just sitting on top of the turret with hydration, so hydration could use the halt to prevent anybody like coming in. and then Rawkus can just use the grenade to keep himself, Moth, and Hydration alive.
If you're Steven here, what the heck are you going to try and do? Like, what are you
Nothing.
thinking?
You can't do anything. I mean, what do? You go in and try and hack somebody. The Torb turret's going to just lock on and just start killing you. But yeah, look, they try and dive the turret. No.
Oh, no, Rawkus, he's off. Nice boop there from Mini-Me. That's a good way to get a man advantage and try and take this fight away. Moth's turret is taken down, but the cost is great for Austria to make even such a small amount of progress. They're going to lose out this fight, and there will be a couple of US players here. But I wonder, Moth's so close. Oh, does Steven get noticed here? Oh.
Space has an idea he's there.
Yeah, I guess he's thinking maybe Steven's gone for the health pack, but he's still not quite sure, right? This is what you do. You try and keep Sombra honest as much as you possibly can.
You want to force him to translocate as much as possible. And,
oh, that's such a nasty stagger as well.
And on the mini-map, it looked like, you know, Austria was going to use a speed boost and push on in because they did have that EMP coming over the top. As soon as he drops, they go the other way. So Moth will probably get a Molten Core here, so you want to make sure you connect with the Torbjorn turret.
You want to make sure you get nano boosted and you get the hammer out.
Sinatra's still spamming
the voice line. I mean, the voice line, man, I mean, that's head games as well, right? Oh, God. Sinatraa, please.
It's not as bad as Mickey, if you ever know.
Oh, yeah, when he plays Diva. Yeah. Okay, Sinatraa knocked up the high ground. He actually does have the Meteor Strike available to him, but look at that. Moth's turret gets pulse bombed in order to try and get rid of it. He never even used Molten Core, which is what's so crazy. Austria thinking, okay, yeah, he's probably going to, you know, get that level 3 turret with Molten Core. We need to get rid of it now, but Moth is... I don't think he'd be bothered. He just uses Molten Core anyway and gives himself that extra combat ability.
He actually got hacked, so he couldn't pop Molten Core during that fight, but he's able to stay alive long enough as see Muma trying to get the stagger here.
Talk about trying to play around an enemy Torbjorn. I mean, so now you're committing resources. It's like a 7th man.
So now they're going to play the Widowmaker, which is interesting because now, if you wanted to play like a long-range sniper to burst through shields here, like you probably could have played Hanzo in this type of situation. Would have given you some extra mobility,
far superior,
and better damage output, especially like you have the Winston barrier plus the Orisa shield.
Yeah, I think Mr. Dragon knew what was happening there. He saw Muma jump at him with 200 health. You probably could have surmised that Muma was planning just to use Primal Rage. And look, he gets the landing impact and then a fist. That's a lot of damage there, enough to pretty much insta-give.
And Watt7 tried to push forward there and make a play with Primal Rage, and the Torbjorn turret just doing a ton of damage. The halt, so he can't get up to the high ground. He gets taken out relatively quick.
Moth has 23% of his team's overall damage, only trailing behind Sinatraa with 24%. And Torbjorn having an impact. And now we'll see what he tries to set up here. I mean, he's very safe behind his shield. There's no real reason for him to move. He might get dived on. He can just relocate himself. Look at that damage. The poke is real. Now the Sour Barrier being forced to be committed by Austria just to try and stay in this fight. Oh dear, is it happening? Yeah, Mr. Dragonlord can't grapple away from that one. Sinatraa is immediately hacked when he touches the ground, so he is sort of, you know, put in a difficult position, chased around the corner by Watt7. But Moth, only his turret goes down as Synsonics is self-destruct here. Finally an EMP from Steve, but there's not enough follow-up available. In the USA, they're not giving an inch here, Matt.
Well, once Sinatraa gets the one pick and then forces 3 other players to chase him, he has done his job. The Torbjorn turret's just having an unreal amount of damage coming through with the crossfire onto the point that there's nothing Austria could really do. I really would have liked to see them switch over to, you know, you could have played Genji in that situation with Sombra if you really wanted to dive, right? Genji would have been really strong going up against the Orisa and the Torbjorn up there. You could have played Hanzo. Hanzo's probably the play there, but I switched over to the Widow.
Have we really seen that at all from this Austrian lineup?
No.
I mean, it's kind of shades of 2017 Team Austria when they just played Widow at every possible opportunity.
I want to see this from you. So.
I've got a lot of breakdowns in EU, I'm sorry to say. And, you know, Austria should have a fair bit of experience dealing with nonsense compositions based on that reason alone. However, there were too many tough things for them to deal with, right? It's like, okay, the Torbjorn's a factor. Pulse bomb the turret. Like, who does that? It's like, we have to try and prevent this Molten Core from taking over the fight.
But just think about how ridiculous that is that you're wasting an ultimate ability that you spend so much time building up on a turret that Torbjorn just throws back down, hammers for a few seconds, is right back where it was before.
It's free. It's just free.
It's yeah.
I mean, and yeah, in all fairness, like, you got to respect the coordination. I mean, Moth was actually hacked, so prevented from using his Molten Core for a time, and they still weren't able to, you know, take advantage of that window and remove the Torbjorn entirely. And then he just popped Molten Core and started slapping people with the rivet gun close up.
So here's the play for USA. You go in towards the left-hand side.
Yep.
You teleport up to the high ground. and then you have the double shield set up with the Bastion.
I mean, you can go coast to coast with this Bastion here. Just teleport him wherever you really want to. This is going to be a lot of fun.
And then you probably have the Sim or the Reinhardt contest the point because you need to force players out of that large health pack room onto the point.
What 7 is about to have a really bad time, man. A really, really bad time. Double shield Bastion composition with the Sinatraa and Rawkus laying down those party grenades. Oh, I mean, they're gonna spot this out, but the question is, how do you respond to it? It's one thing to see this nonsense.
Teleporter left hand side of the high ground.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Set up on the high ground. Oh, this is your point? No, it belongs to us now. High ground control for the USA, and Sinatraa gets himself 2 in a D suit, and it's all but done right here and right now. A token of resistance from Team Austria, and that is far from enough. Hydration is slept as he tries to approach, and yes, the clips will be removed. There it is. Easy as 1, 2, 3. Just add some cheese. And then got the USA taking map number 3.
You get up to that high ground real quick with that teleporter. And once they got up there,
Moth is like, are we toxic?
Austria
Austria
made the decision to dive. And then, you know, with the D.Va, you're taking so much damage from the Bastion. And then you can't even defense matrix the Sinatraa beam that's just coming at you. Nothing Austria could really do there. You see Team USA, they're having some fun.
And I feel like this is a good example and sufficient to illustrate the gap between these two regions in terms of just the quality of Overwatch we're able to produce. The US, and they didn't take any prisoners. They didn't troll or anything like that. They just played a comp that works, and they knew they could get away with it, and it was just filthy.
I mean, we haven't really seen a lot of teams like experiment with the new Sinatraa, with being able to teleport everybody rather quickly. So I don't know if anyone really knows like what's capable or what's possible, and you know how she kind of plays. Just because she's never really been in the meta, like even you know in her previous forms, right? So I think it'll take a while for teams to figure it out. You see a real good use of, you know, you don't really call it a cheese strap, but it's something you can just throw in there and it's an easy win, right? Like there's no way they can defend against that.
There are tons of fun stuff you can do with it. Obviously, like Reinhardt can't charge through it, but you can throw particles or projectiles sort of through the teleporter.
You can charge through it.
It's Ryan.
Yeah.
I don't think you can interact with it mid-charge.
Yeah.
Okay, someone correct me about that one on Twitter because I tried it before and I fell into the water.
Because we've attempted it with Bren numerous times.
Well, sometimes we just get a teleport behind him and I walk through his Ryan and then charge him. But I think if you charge through, like you charge through the other side, and I don't think it really has the impact you want it to. Yeah. Either way, Rialto is going to be our 4th map here, Matt. I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's a ridiculous concept.
Yeah, it's
tell me on Twitter.
It's kind of meaningless, as I don't know if we'll see the Sinatraa yet again. As Rialto, we got our first chance to cast it a little bit earlier. I really enjoy how this map plays. It's much more defensive focused. You know, pretty tough on the offense to make a ton of progress.
I think it's also a map that its entry into the map pool here is quite timely because we're seeing a lot of teams, especially with these heavier tank compositions, are really more than ever, I would say, trying to make the most out of choke points, right? Trying to get the most value with Doomfist or even, Wrecking Ball in some cases. Those close quarter scenarios, trying to make sure that they can eliminate, single targets very quickly. And obviously, I really feel like Rialto was just choke point after choke point. Obviously in a different fashion with flanking opportunities, enough variation, obviously, to make it fun. But that key premise is still there, right? And they're doing an Austria. They watched this before.
It's Team USA.
They
are on defense.
Okay.
This will be a very close defensive setup.
They're not running a Mercy here, obviously, not with this comp. So obviously, if they do lose a play here, it's a long walk back.
I don't think this is going to be great for Austria playing a Pharah here at the beginning. A lot of AoE healing with the Moira and Lucio here for Team USA, and then just large health pools in general.
I like this adaptation.
They
might have heard hydration. Obviously, Roadhog has the loudest footsteps in the game, I think, next to D.Va and Orisa. And he was crouching, but you still hear it. Right, so charging the wall, Austria over the top. This could get ugly, guys. I'm not going to lie. This is very awkward. What7 drops down, gets the shield, charges in. Moth's already down. Now he's also going to fall. Moth very, very low, and What7 has to back up a lot. And the USA look like they want to get aggressive despite being at a man disadvantage. What7, nice big fire strike, and the USA now sheepishly trying to back away to realize that it kind of messed up, and Austria may have just outgamed them here. Trying to use Austria's strategy against them may not have been a well-informed decision to make. And this is going to go badly for the US.
Well, they can back on all the way up. You do have only one player on the payload here for Austria. We have Coalescence for Eclipse right away. He's going to use it. Sinatraa blows his as well. So you don't have those Moira ultimates available. Wat7 will have an Earth Shatter. If he can land this one, they potentially can take point A right away.
Okay, USA already back in the fight, so they do want to try and slow this down. Now, the tough part for the US is this is not a choke point scenario for them. It's much more open, but hey, great opportunity to get a big old graviton in there. Space charging that one up awful quickly and gets 2 kills amidst it. Steven falling in the back line, and yeah, that's pretty well done and dusted here. Space with 75% average energy. They've definitely been getting up close and personal.
Such a long charge.
Pool party diva, anyone?
Just a friendly whack off the side of the map there as Muma will have
It's
himself.
a nudge. It's like when, you know, you're going to go bungee jumping and you're up there for hours because you don't want to jump and then someone just gives you a nudge. Take the plunge.
You see how much healing these Moiras do. That'll be a Earth Shadow that comes down from Muma. The self-destruct comes down there from Rawkus.
Sinatraa has 28 seconds per ultimate earned right now on this Moira. So much healing be done. Eclipse is not much worse at 42 or so seconds per ultimate earned thus far. And now they're pushing up again. They really don't want to let Austria get anywhere. And now the US know they're going to come from the top side and won't be bamboozled so easily.
The biggest thing is they're pushing up because now Austria potentially is going to have to use ultimates to just get out of the spawn, which doesn't give them a great chance for the second fight. That'll be Moth with the double boot there on the bridge. So no ultimates used here for Austria.
I tell you what,
Gives a little hello in the spawn.
this really does, it not only sort of aesthetically reminds me of Super Mario Sunshine, but so many people took a dip just then, it feels like the same game. Moth got a double boop off, and obviously the easy sort of hook coming in from hydration to secure the kill. Now they're behind Austria somehow, and they do eat a big Earth Shatter. I mean, who would have thought you'd be sending a self-destruct back towards your spawn to try and get the enemy team? But it's a 1-for-1 trade as it stands. Hydration got a pick on Steven. Moth does have a sound barrier, but using it here is probably not ideal for him. They're wasting time. They're really making this costing for Austria to advance, but the USA now are in an awkward spot, and now they're being tied all together. Even with that sound barrier, this is going to hurt them.
It's a really nice use of that sound barrier from Moth, though. He goes high off the wall run, and then he uses it flying around the corner. Muma comes back here with a Shatter. He's going to use it. He's going to get one.
Yeah, that might be enough for the time being, especially with Wat7 falling. Steven tried to back away, but he gets charged out. Hydration just takes a breather, and he's back to 400 health. And there's 52 seconds left in the round. Austria have made minimal progress in the grand scheme of things, and that payload is slowly, forlornly rolling back towards their spawn.
And they had 6 ultimates. You know, prior to that fight, where they use it and they don't get anything really is
well, it takes more than a one-man pick, right? Even in the absence of Mercy, there's no resurrect. You still need to properly clean up the enemy team or they'll hang around forever. Another hook. You cannot let that happen. Hydration has done that every single time Austria have crossed the bridge.
I just thought about Uber Bingo talking about when he fell off the map at King's Row like last year.
He doesn't feel so bad right now.
He had a ton of issues staying on the map. He totally jinxed them coming into the weekend. Space will have himself a Graviton Surge to lay down here with a whole hog Coalescence to use too.
I mean, that Earth Shatter into the archway it's super hard to hit anyone with that anyway. Muma just not really caring too much right now. Slightly frivolous to use that one. Yeah, he's going to be pushing that one here. And I think the USA are aware of that one, but they need to deal with these issues. Many people got cleaned up. USA back to the car with 3 players, and that is possibly the most comprehensive drubbing I have seen on this map to date.
I think the biggest thing that kind of helped Team USA early on was Sinatraa and Space staying alive after that failed first defense because it allowed Space to hold on to all that energy. What a huge shatter there. It allows Space to hold on all that energy. The average energy is 72% on the Zarya as opposed to Sensotix. Obviously much different because he's constantly spawning over and over again.
He loses all of his charge, of course,
so he's only able to average 38%. Space doesn't die during the round, but it's that first fight where they're able to stay alive. Him and Space in Sinatraa helps Sinatraa and Eclipse for Austria. Give Eclipse a shout out. I mean, he only dies once, so doing a nice job just staying alive, playing his life. 49 seconds in terms of his Coalescence ult charge. Sinatraa, 44 seconds for him.
And again, yeah, I mean, with the amount of healing you're able to provide, and look, you're not being punished with the USA for playing close together, right? Because you're the ones that are taking initiative. You make it very, very hard for Austria to maneuver their pieces into position. And this is so hard. Austria have to fight up close here, I feel. They might get a second go at it, or do they no, they actually can't. Sorry, I correct myself. If they fight up close, they probably won't be spawned back in time, and they're going to try it anyway.
They'd have to die basically instantly to have a shot. Like, they would all need to die, within, seconds of each other to potentially even get a speed boost back.
Yeah, I mean, the minimap, so the payload was set up, we might have seen a glimpse of it, sort of where that courtyard platform was, so I think they can get back if they all sort of die here, but yeah, if they get staggered out, there's no way
they would
can
probably
get
have to
6 men.
switch over and have like a Winston or a Wrecking Ball. Potentially to contest for a second or two, yeah, but they would just get blown up if this is what USA runs. You'll see the famous Torbjorn Bastion double turret combo here.
Absolutely the gold standard, man, right now. And
is this team being coached by Brendan Book?
Okay, so Sinatraa then gets a pretty easy decent. He's actually hooked in, but tries to repair himself. It doesn't work out, but here's the problem now. Half of the Team Austria are sort of being pushed back towards the spawn. They are running a Mercy US, so they can just bring Sinatraa back, and now, one by one, they can be staggered out. This is the exact opposite of what Austria would have wanted to happen in this case.
Space's turret is actually in the top of the spawn, so it's just watching the front and the side. It's trying to find a tactical.
So there are 2 players walking back right now for Austria. They've only got 4 in position. They're still coming across the bridge. Now Sinatraa, though, if he can get an early couple of picks, Austria can't play with 6 players until, well, the end of this match, essentially. Looks like Sinatraa now going to go for that tank configuration, but he gets nothing done with it there, despite so the healing available to him. Muma tries to go for an Earth Shatter, gets a nice little triple, if I'm not mistaken, and the Fire Strike follow-up is good. Eclipse just fades away from the charge from Muma, but for Austria, it looks like it's going to be fade to black for them. It's all gone wrong, trying to play up close. Muma has all the room he needs, playing the greenskeeper role so perfectly. That's all she wrote. And the USA hiding their strats by keeping their games as short as possible.
And look, they had some good use of Bastion, although it comes down to Volskaya offense with a Sim Teleporter, and then here on Rialto. Did seem to be quite effective against Austria's triple and quad tank setups, as they were not able to deal with these different compositions that Team USA threw.
Again, if you're going to be a dominant team, or if you think you're a dominant team, then be dominant. Demonstrate this dominance. No one really wants to see you guys sort of sandbagging and hiding what you can actually do. This is a strong signal to not only the rest of the teams in this group stage, but also the rest of the teams vying for a spot at BlizzCon. We're not messing about here. The United States coming in, and yeah, they play a maybe sort of not normal composition. That's probably the best way I can put it, but still, they still hammer it home comfortably.
Yeah, and I think for Austria, you did have a really tough day where you played Canada and Team USA. You kind of expected these results, probably not in the fashion that it happened, but I believe we have Malik down on the floor with Sinatraa. Let's go to them.
Thank you very much, Mr. X. I'm here with Sinatraa from Team USA, as you said. Guys, give it up for Sinatraa, man. Did his thing. Did his thing. Now, Rialto, like you guys were having a little bit of fun. I saw a little Bastion attack strat there at the end. Can we expect to see the strat anymore in World Cup, possibly against, Canada on Sunday?
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely going to play DPS more. I'm going to play DPS more. I'm going to play Bastion against Canada, and yeah.
All right. Giving up the strats already, man. Now, you were playing with a whole bunch of, pretty much the entire Team USA squad is players from the Overwatch League, but they're typically your adversaries during the regular season. How's it been synergizing with guys you're typically playing against during the regular season?
Yeah, everybody had like different play styles at first because Shock is super aggressive, Outlaws is super passive, so we had to find a middle ground at first and then work together, and it worked really well after scrimming for like a month or so yeah.
So it's been working out pretty well for you then. All right, last question for you, man. I remember seeing you for the first time on stage last year at the World Cup, and that was a nervous Sinatraa. Sinatraa who was, kind of coming to his own. After having Overwatch League under your belt for an entire year, what Sinatraa is coming into World Cup this year?
Well, honestly, I was a little nervous at first because I haven't played like in 3 months. I haven't played Overwatch League and being on stage in front of people, so. But after like the first map, it was all fine. Like I'm super confident now, yeah.
Confident Sinatraa, you heard it straight from the source. All right, well, Team USA just clinched their first victory of this stage. So without any further ado, we're going to send it back to the casters to break down that match. Take it away, guys.
Thank you very much, Malik. Yeah, no frills, no nonsense from Sinatraa there as well. It's good to see that he's setting back into his role. Crazy game. I mean, pretty mental stuff we saw from the US. Somehow, though, I dare say that it's not nearly as crazy as the battles going on in Twitch chat and, of course, on the internet right now. That's why it's time for the Team Mobile Fan Pulse, brought to you, of course, by the fastest network ever. We've got some interaction, of course, with some of our friends out there in the Twitter sphere. And, again, this is, I mean, I totally agree with this. What an all-star lineup here we've got with some huge players in the US.
Yeah, it's great to see Sinatraa back in the World Cup stage, just like last year. Really had a standout performance. I think even with that Overwatch League experience, coming into this year, much more composed. Ready to potentially take home the whole thing.
I mean, that's not all, of course. We're hearing from a lot of people, I guess, and their reactions to some of these games. So keep them coming in, guys. It's great to hear from you guys. And again, we're seeing a lot of Sombra action happen, Matt. We discussed it. It definitely seems to be a pick that demands a response.
Yeah, I mean, a very strong hero in the overall scheme of the game right now. Can gain a ton of information. Being invisible, obviously disabling the abilities of a lot of other heroes. Extremely strong. So I think you're going to keep seeing a lot of Sombra.
And of course, my questions sometimes get answered in a proper way. So yeah, you can obviously do that. I think I tried to do it, and I just didn't hit my interact key fast enough, and I ended up charging off the map. So yeah, that's just me, though. I really shouldn't use my own experiences to inform my knowledge sometimes. That's why we're here to watch such great gameplay, of course, ladies and gentlemen. But the world is watching, so help take your team to trending with hashtag OWWC on the fastest network ever, T-Mobile. Love to see it. Thanks, guys, for getting involved with us and showing us how you're enjoying the show as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with Sinatraa Teleporter as well. You can put it down on top of a Torbjorn turret and send it on its way. You can do the same with Bastion, Junkrat tires. Let's get into some highlights.
I mean, yeah, I feel like we might end up just seeing the entire match here in these highlights. It wasn't a long one. I mean, USA strong out of the gates here. We saw Austria start off, trying to match that sort of Pharah Mercy combo. It was interesting to see them play this combat, like the Pharah Junkrat against a very tanky comp that had a lot of burst healing in the form of obviously Bionic Grenade, and it definitely didn't really work out.
Yeah, it seems like Austria came in, Mitch, and they really wanted to focus on playing these tanks. I thought I heard Hex mention it in the previous series. We talked about it in our first one, where it's the easiest to get down with a limited amount of practice time. But going up some of these Overwatch League players, that really nice leak there from Rawkus. They know how to deal with it, and I think they haven't come in with somebody who can play Sombra, or that maybe they just don't know how to play around it. And then we haven't seen them use Doomfist yet.
Well, it's the other side of a composition being very well known and understood, is that it can be exploitable. It definitely does. You can't just play a counter comp, into this triple tank, triple supporter and beat it out, right? Obviously here we got to see some of those Bastion Symmetra hijinks, which is a really nice cherry on top there for the USA. I spent so much time saying, they're taking this seriously, they're not messing about, and they were able to have the same impact while playing ostensibly much more fun to play and watch composition. This whole, Rialto, I don't know if we'll really see that kind of scenario replicated too much. Credit to Austria playing, as if they, felt good about going into this match, felt like they had the advantage. You've got to play aggressive. You can't be psyched out by a team that is, ostensibly stronger than you on paper.
Yeah, and you see towards the end there, we have Symmetra. No, we didn't see it during all of Overwatch League.
Thank you, Captain
We can highlight it now.
Thank you. So, obviously the hero damage done is not so important. Symmetra filling a similar role as Sombra as a utility provider.
Considering how long that round was, it's a decent amount of damage when you kind of look at it that way. Using the secondary fire, that's like charging up those orbs. They do AoE damage now as well. They travel a bit faster. I think you're going to see, as we see Symmetra played more, potentially. A lot of damage being put down with those.